This meeting is being televised live on ACPS TV and streamed on ACPS YouTube channel. General information and protocols for the meeting are posted on the sign by the doorway as you enter the room, so please make sure you read those if you have not already. If you will please pause for the invocation. O God, we pray to administer that which is just in all educational policies. Being ever mindful of your guidance, stir us to action with love, wisdom, and understanding. Thank you. And now please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Item 2.03, approval of the minutes. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Do I have consensus? Thank you. Item 2.04, establish agenda order.
Madam President, I move that the board add as agenda item 7.06 the following: ratification of the negotiated agreement between the Board of Education and the Association of Educational Leaders, and further that the board hear this item after item 2.06 on today's agenda.
Second.
Do I have consensus? Thank you. Thank you. Item 2.05, recognitions. It is my, yes. Oh, apologies, yes. So we need to approve the amended.
Move to approve the agenda as amended.
Second.
Do I have consensus? Thank you. Now, item 2.05, recognitions. It is my very, very great pleasure to recognize at his first board meeting with us, Dr. Mark Bedell, our new superintendent of schools. Welcome, Dr. Bedell.
All right. Turn this on. All right. Well, thank you all. I haven't done nothing yet, so it's really no reason to stand up at this time. Let's think about what this looks like at the end of this first year. But I am really excited to be here. As I shared with the board in our retreat on Sunday, there were two school districts that I really had my eyes on. This one, and there was one outside of Houston. This one came open first, and made a decision to apply and was fortunate enough to have been selected. And I'm just looking forward to doing everything that I can to serve the students, to serve this staff, the number of employees that we have, and most importantly, the greater Anne Arundel County community as a whole, to serve you all at a high level and to do what we need to do to make sure that we are producing world-class graduates as they go through their trajectory in this school district. So I'm excited. You'll hear a lot more from me on the superintendent's report around the first 2.5 weeks of being here.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Bedell. And we are thrilled to welcome you to this meeting. Okay. Item 2.06. We will be hearing from employee union representatives who are here today with back to school remarks. So I see that we have, I believe, all of our representatives. I don't know if you all have a thought as to who wants to go first, but yeah, I was going to say AEL starts with A.
Excuse my reading, I'm a little nervous. Good afternoon, board members, Dr. Bedell, esteemed colleagues, and community members. My name is Tracy Ahern. I am a proud employee of Anne Arundel County Public Schools since 2000. I am also the principal at the best school in the world, which is Odenton Elementary. I am humbled to represent our 354 Unit 2 members that serve AACPS as AEL president. On a daily basis, I see the commitment my colleagues put towards their school communities. This is especially visible in what they put forth into their staff and students. School administrators understand that because what we do matters, administrators have to be everything to everybody. The job of the administrator has evolved over the years to a 24/7 expectation. Our school leaders are up to that challenge. Recently, I reviewed research that is the culmination of 20 years of school leadership research, and it concluded that administrators really matter. Given not just the magnitude, but the scope of an administrator's effect, which are felt across the student body and faculty in a school, it is difficult to envision an investment with a higher ceiling on its potential return than a successful effort to improve school leadership. Administrators really matter. Another major research synthesis updated influential 2004 literature, and it finds the impact of an effective administrator is greater and broader than previously stated, with positive impacts on learning, attendance, teacher satisfaction, and retention. Administrators play a crucial role in hiring, recruiting, and retaining teachers and supporting teachers in creating positive learning environments in which our students will thrive. Additional research findings bring new and compelling insights into the essential role of the administrators in student learning and sustained school improvement. On top of all of this, we are responsible for the safety of each and every person who enters our building. This is a daunting task that we place at the highest priority. But isn't everything an administrator does a highest priority? Our AACPS administrators understand all of these priorities better than anyone, and we are up to the challenge. We make decisions that are in the best interest of students. It is our hope that the decisions made by AACPS in the future can transcend political agendas and media sound bites to focus on student achievement. Our commitment to a fair and equitable collective bargaining process is compatible with that goal. The ratification of the negotiated agreement reflects not only the end of our current mandated negotiation process, but it also is the start, yay, of a new collective bargaining year. Unfortunately, the challenges of the negotiation process continue, and until we can collaboratively redesign how and when we bargain, there will be continued frustration on the respective sides. I believe we should be all thankful we reached an agreement that moves us further towards a fair and equitable work environment for the school system and Unit 2 employees. I also believe that our current negotiation process is flawed. I hope that the process that brings us to an agreement can be redesigned so that timely agreements can be reached. To that end, I extend an invitation to the board to participate with AEL in the correcting of the inequities that currently exist. I am new to this leadership role, and I have a lot to learn about the negotiation process. I don't understand words like best and final offer or
Ms.
first
Ahern,
and only offer.
Ms. Ahern, I'm sorry to
Yes.
interrupt. I realize this is your first time, but we have to be very careful. We don't really talk about negotiations in public because
Okay.
it's
Okay.
it's done as a closed session. So I just want to alert that to you for
Okay.
today and for future.
All right. Okay. So we'll leave that to where it is. But I promise that I am up to the challenge to learn the process. I believe that AEL and the AACPS board share a common and important purpose: the education and safety of the students to whom we are entrusted. In conclusion, administrators matter. Let's work together to show that we have a common goal in mind that is focused on what is best for students. I look forward to an amazing school year. Thank you.
Thank you. So I don't believe our AFSCME representative is with you. Oh, you are. Great. There you are. So we'll take the next A. Yes.
Good morning, members of the board, and welcome, Dr. Bedell. My name is Roland Johnson. I serve as president of the American Federation of County and State Employees, AFSCME. AFSCME has a long, strong-standing history of working collaboratively with the board on some very challenging issues. At the height of the pandemic, AFSCME stood at the ready position, never leaving the job undone. Excuse me. We showed up every day to sanitize and clean buildings in preparation for the return of students and staff to a safe environment. AFSCME is the first on the job and the last to leave. We pick up the students in the morning, transportation department, bring them to the schools in a heated and ready for instruction environment. Our maintenance and logistics department maintain the equipment such as HVAC and electrical systems. Hot breakfast is provided and lunch by food services. AFSCME's job does not end until every kid is delivered back home safely, and the night crew sometimes closes at midnight, close to midnight. Our most recent challenge is changing the school start times. Once again, AFSCME has stepped up to the challenge, helping make this work by changing schedules, leaving their families sometimes for long hours, working longer shifts with less help. AFSCME again stands at the ready, fully committed to continuing the great relationship that has been established over the years with the board, ready and willing to work towards fulfilling the goals set by Dr. Bedell. Thank you for your time, and again, welcome, Dr. Bedell.
Thank you very much. I believe that moves us to S, SAYAK. Good afternoon.
Greetings, Dr. Bedell, President Tobin, and members of the board. I am Carmelita Makel, the president of the Secretary's Assistants Association of Anne Arundel County, SAYAK. Also, I'm an administrative assistant in the secondary math office of the Office of Curriculum Instruction. This is my first time presenting in this capacity, so I too am nervous. So bear with me. A new school year has begun, one that will be filled with new challenges, tasks, and excitement. Over the last 3 years, we have ran a marathon that no one saw coming. We were challenged in many ways. Thanks to God and all the dedicated, hardworking Unit 4 employees, we, all of us, along with others, rose to the occasion and ensured a smooth, continuous operation of their school district. I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome you, Dr. Bedell, all Unit 4 employees, students, parents, and all staff. Who is SAYAK? We are the critical employees, simply put. Our schools cannot exist without us and the important work that we do every day for our work sites, students, and community. We are teachers' assistants, secretaries, technology supports, administrative assistants, piano tuners, technicians, and other support positions. As an educational support professional, ESP, we too help students connect with others, discover their purpose, and learn to be leaders. SAYAK is looking forward to another amazing and awesome school year with much improvement and continued respect from all at AACPS. This year, we are striving to be understanding workers by continuing to educate ourselves through programs such as the SAYAK and AACPS Health and Wellness PD, the AACPS Professional Pathways, the Effectiveness Series Program for support staff, and continuous learning in diversities and equity training, and studying how to assist others with different cultures and different learning styles. ESPs are the motors that keeps the ship moving. As we join with you, providing our first Treasuring Your Health, Wealth, and Welfare PD, we wish to reiterate the importance of maintaining a healthy lifestyle as we can be balanced and mentally prepared for the 22-23 school year. It is unfortunate that what should be a celebratory start of a new school year, uniform employees that work primarily in school classrooms have already been slighted and forgotten. This coming Friday is a teacher work day, according to the approved AACPS calendar. They work from a location of their choice. Uniform teacher specialists who work side by side with these teachers will be in the buildings. How is that the best for our schools? The challenge that we face this coming year in the classrooms will be very difficult. You will call on these same people to step up. Do what you expect them to do. You expect them to forget? Do you expect them to pretend that they were not forgotten or ignored? What exactly do you expect? You can today correct this. I challenge you to do so before bitterness seeps into the very hallways that you expect smiles to be radiated. As a resident and constituent of Anne Arundel County, we support students, families, communities, and colleagues across the district. Let us make this year a great success despite the challenges ahead. We work together. When we work together, we can make things happen. As we stay focused and continue to do the work that we so enjoy, assisting our teachers, students, and community. We too are part of AACPS. And welcome, Dr. Bedell. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
TAAAC, we've reached T.
I can proudly say that I have spoke before this board before, and I'm very grateful to be here. Good afternoon, Dr. Bedell, President Tobin, Vice President Silkworth, Board of Education members. I'm Nicole Disney Bates, and I'm the new TAAAC president. And I mean new. Today is my 24th day in office. I wanted to thank you today for welcoming me and allowing me to speak on behalf of the Teachers Association of Anne Arundel County. We want to welcome Dr. Bedell to Anne Arundel County and to Team AACPS. Our teachers, they're excited. They're ready. They're ready to take on the challenges. And today, they have 2 days before our students arrive. Normally, that's me. For the past 11 years, I've been standing in a classroom trying to decide what I need to have to make my classroom environment calm, yet happy and inviting. And then the best part occurs. My students arrive. And those students, they are not just students to me. Eventually, you'll hear me refer to them as my kids. And their parents, they'll be my parents, which is somewhat confusing in conversation sometimes. But in general, those relationships, they are mine, and they become something special to me. And when they become my kids, they grow. They grow academically, they grow socially, they grow emotionally. And much like my students and their families, this is an opportunity for us. This is an opportunity for us to begin anew. Dr. Bedell and Board of Education members, we have many challenges to face together as the teacher shortage looms large. As I've said to this board before, we are a sinking ship, but it is not sunk. Our teachers, our related service providers, our administrators, our support staff, they're holding it together. And with teamwork, I believe we can get that boat to float yet again. Our teachers and related service providers, they need us to look at time, the most precious of our commodities. They need us to work together and figure out how to use their time in the most valuable way. We really need to consider what we are asking our teachers to do. What do we need them to do? We need to evaluate, is Brightspace the best use of their time? Is there a way to make it easier? Is there a way to help our staff? Is this the way that we want our teachers to teach? Is this the way we want our students to learn? Those are all things that we should be considering together. And our teachers who are taking on new roles, different roles than the ones that they signed up for, expected at the beginning of the year. What does time look like for them? How can we support them together? As you can tell, this relationship is a new relationship, and it's a needed relationship because we need to stop that boat from sinking. We have many challenges to overcome, and we need to work together to find permanent fixes instead of temporary solutions. Dr. Bedell, Board of Education, we can right this ship, but only if we work together. I leave you with something that I often do when I give a speech, a quick story. So I've been a special educator for 11 years. I've had many, many students. All of my students are precious and important to me, but some of them I become, as Grey's Anatomy says, their person. That is the person that they need most, the person who they're looking for when they're having a hard day. And those students are often the students that only respond to that person. What I can tell you is that when you become that person, those students, that student who needs you, only you, is the one that grows. They grow socially, they grow emotionally, and they grow to trust you. And that's what I see here. We have that opportunity. We can become each other's person, but only if we work together and try to move forward as a group. So thank you again for letting me speak today. And I really look forward to this relationship that we have the potential to build. And Dr. Bedell, welcome to Anne Arundel County.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So now, as previously noted in the change of the agenda, we will now receive item 7.06, ratification of the negotiated agreement between the Board of Education and the Association of Educational Leaders. Dr. Bedell.
Thank you, Madam Chair. At this time, we have staff prepared to conduct this presentation. We are asking the board to take action on the AEL ratification, and I'll pass it over to our team for the presentation.
Good afternoon, Dr. Tobin, Dr. Bedell, and members of the board. For the record, my name is Melissa Rawls, and I am the Director of Employee Relations. The negotiating teams for the Board of Education and the Association of Educational Leaders, AEL, have reached a tentative agreement for fiscal year 2023, subject to your approval. In brief, the summary of changes as agreed upon by both parties include, but are not limited to, the following: a 4% COLA added to the base of the salary schedule, a one-step increase for eligible Unit 2 employees in FY23 as defined by the negotiated agreement, and one back step for Unit 2 employees who did not receive a step in the 2015-2016 academic year, as called for in their applicable negotiated agreement based upon an established criteria. The negotiating teams diligently worked to reach an agreement that serves the best interest of Anne Arundel County Public Schools, Unit 2 employees, and supports their commitment to AACPS students, staff, and community. I would like to give special recognition to Edie Picken, who recently retired, for her dedication and service to Anne Arundel County Public Schools for many years. Also, I would like to extend many thanks to the AEL negotiating team for their dedicated efforts during FY23 negotiations, as well as the current president, Tracy Ahern. On August 19th, 2022, AEL ratified this agreement, and I respectfully request your approval and ratification of the noted summary of changes. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rawls.
So
Ms. Sorry.
Ms. Ahern can have an opportunity.
Oh,
also to
sorry.
speak.
My apologies. Yes, Ms. Ahern.
I'm a little flustered, so I'm excited.
Clearly, I am too. So.
And what I wanted to say is I'm excited to learn about this process and to be an advocate for AEL as we move forward in the next stages and the next round of negotiations.
Thank you. I'm sorry. So, do we have any comments? Dr. Bedell, do you have any comments?
No, I'm excited. I'm like you. I'm trying to figure everything out. I'm new to this process, and but not new to working with our administrators, the Association of Educational Leaders. It was called CASE in Baltimore County. So I'm kind of familiar with the process. And as you get up here, anxieties will ease the more you're doing this. So I just want you to know it's okay.
Ms. Corkadell?
If it's appropriate, I'd like to make a
Sure.
motion
Sure.
that we adopt the terms of and conditions for AEL as presented.
Second.
Seeing no additional lights. Ms. Money?
Mr. McGrath.
Aye.
Mr. Silkworth.
Aye.
Ms. Frank.
Aye.
Ms. Ellis.
Aye.
Ms. Corkadell.
Aye.
Ms. Shawheim.
Aye.
Ms. Dent.
Aye.
Dr. Tobin.
Aye.
Motion passes 8-0.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. We are going to move now to Section 3, public comments. Speakers will be allotted 2 minutes each and may not allocate their time to others. The yellow light below me will shine when you have 30 seconds remaining. The red light below me will shine and you will hear a tone when your time has expired. The board asks that comments remain civil and appropriate for the various audiences that may be watching or viewing this meeting. Student-specific and personnel matters are confidential and cannot be discussed in this forum. Please speak only on the topic which you signed up to speak on. It is not the board's general practice to engage in question and answer sessions with speakers, and I would say again that please do not engage in any characterization or other ad hominem attacks on anyone with whom you disagree. For the record, please give your name before speaking. Handouts should be given to the board assistant. And we have 2 speakers today, so I will call them both up. Ms. Christy Andreski, I hope I pronounced that correctly, and Ms. Julia Laws. And you will both be speaking on item 5.01, readiness for opening of schools. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. This is what you're not talking about at the meetings. Before the time change, drivers could drive a bus, have 3 runs, they were paid for 8 hours a day. Now they can only have 2 runs and are paid 6 hours a day. Drivers can't even double up because all the school times are the same. We are lacking 32 runs. This goes the same for crossing guards. So if the contractor misses a run, are you still going to fine them when this is out of their control because you decided to change the start times over a study? And all you do is sit there and nothing's discussed into detail. Have you ever rode a bus in your district to see how the county isn't ready? I know you haven't. I found that yesterday. My son will not have a bus in the AM or PM. What are you going to do about it? I pay my taxes. Are you going to drive a bus? Are you going to pick my kids up? I think it was, since it was your idea to change the school times, why aren't you out there driving a bus and picking these kids up, being a crossing guard? And what about the safety? We don't even have crossing guards on major road intersections, but let's change the school times. Hey, you might have a ride to school. You might not have a ride to school, a teacher, a food service worker, and a ride home, but let's still change the school times. That makes a lot of sense. Oh, but high schoolers can sleep in. No, they can't because they're going to be walking 5 miles to school because both parents need to work. You have no common sense at all when it comes to this issue. You rant on changing school times. You don't care about kids or families' mental health. That's right. You don't care at all. And it's this left-leaning agenda. I know exactly which 3 you are.
It's not
Ms.
appropriate
Andreski,
to make
Ms.
comments
Ms.
directed to us.
Andreski, Ms. Andreski,
Get home in elementary school. There are 2,000 kids on the wait list.
Ms. Andreski, please remain civil.
Families I am.
All right.
Families that can't afford childcare.
Could someone
have
please,
to let their kids stay
Ms.
home
Andreski,
unsupervised
please
so the
step away.
Child will get hit with a car.
Okay,
Or
yeah.
they get abducted from the bus stop. Open your eyes. You want to spend millions? Make our schools safe. You don't make them safe. This should be the first thing on their list, not school time. It's the most ridiculous, stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life.
Ms. Andreski, please step away. Are we ready to reconvene, to start again? Again, I would ask everyone to remain civil. There are, as we see before us, children in this room. Thank you. Ms. Laws.
Good afternoon, members of the board, and welcome, Dr. Bedell. I'd like to apologize for the unsatisfactory and dysfunctional conditions your employer has created here at AACPS. My name is Julia Laws. I am a parent to an AACPS student and this handsome little guy here. This is Tyler. Tyler will not and is not an AACPS student. He loves when the wheels on the bus go round and round, but not at 7 a.m. and certainly not all through the town. Tyler's best friend will be an AACPS student this year. He will wake up at 6 a.m. in order to be on his bus by 7:09. He will spend all day in an understaffed school building, then taken to an understaffed daycare center until 6 p.m. when his single mother will finally be able to pick him up after work. He will not be able to enjoy soccer this year, as his dinner and bedtime routine will begin as soon as he returns home. How is this healthy for our youngest learners, who have no concept of what school is? Are we expecting these children to enjoy school with a schedule like this? You've sacrificed the well-being of our elementary school students and for the mental health benefits of our high schoolers, getting an extra hour of sleep. Exactly where does that extra hour come into play? Many high schoolers are catching their buses 15 to 20 minutes later than they did last year, with longer walking distances to their bus stops. The disruptions you've caused to the entire county were all for naught, especially considering the number of high schoolers who have petitioned the change. Lastly, I expect a transparent conversation on the changes happening in our school buildings this year. Students are discussing the use of a mandated form that requires teachers and administrators to address them by their last names, and the use of 2 sets of pronouns: preferred pronouns for in-school interactions and pronouns that should be used when communicating with parents. Exactly how were students notified of this new policy before parents were made aware? As you discuss the readiness or lack thereof for schools to open, I want to remind you of your responsibility to be transparent with all stakeholders. Spare us the sugar-coated versions of your failures and take accountability for your actions. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, that concludes our speakers for today. I will move on now to Section 4, reports, and begin with item 4.01, the President's report. So I just want to note a couple of things. I was fortunate enough, and Dr. Bedell was with me at one of them, to attend a back-to-school event. And I know there are many, many around the county going on, and so many partner groups that are doing wonderful work to provide support for our students. And I want to thank all of them. And I know there was a very successful event in Severn at Van Bachlen that Ms. Dent was very much involved in organizing, that I believe Dr. Bedell was also able to attend. So I want to thank everyone in the community who's doing this incredible work for our students. And I want to say how thrilled I am to see the community coming out and getting ready for a terrific school year. So that concludes my report. Item 4.02, the CRASS report. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Okay. Good afternoon, President Tobin, Vice President Silkworth, members of the board, and Dr. Bedell. My name is Michelle Fidel. I'm a rising freshman at Chesapeake High School. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm very grateful to serve as CRASS Secretary of Education. We would like to welcome our new superintendent, Dr. Bedell, and congratulate our 49th student member of the board, Zach McGrath. We are excited to begin working with you all this upcoming school year, providing the students perspective on how we can make AACPS even better. To briefly introduce CRASS to those unfamiliar with our organization, we are the Chesapeake Regional Association of Student Councils. We are a dedicated group of students whose primary goal is to be the voice of more than 83,000 students in AACPS. We have an executive team composed of 7 elected officers and 21 appointed staff from all over the county and grades 6 through 12. We host multiple events during the school year, some of which include general assemblies, CRASS officer elections, and our biggest responsibility to elect the student member of the board as outlined in the Maryland Education Code 32805. We are proud to announce that Alina Malik, a rising senior from South River High School, was appointed Secretary of Service for the 2022 to 2023 school year. In addition, we have established our executive board for this upcoming school year, with applications officially closing in early July. All 21 members were sworn in during the CRASS Executive Board Retreat taking place at Arlington Echo on August 17, 2022. We would like to formally congratulate this outstanding team of students. Our Chief of Staff is Kate Oyedele, our chosen parliamentarian Minuet Hoyt, accompanied by our selective Deputy Parliamentarian Andy Rowlands. Filling our legislative liaison positions are Noor Chaudhry, Julian Hallman, and Supashi Pradhan, returning for her second term. My exceptional and hardworking education liaisons are Jason Semenov Jr. and Ellie Paximatis. Service liaisons are Caroline Baker and Jenna Pratt. Communication liaisons are Samira Ibrahim and Ishika Jain. Our middle school vice chairs are Ife Fidel, Lena Bab, and Wanulu Subir. Outreach coordinators are Famia Saeed, and returning for her second term, Cameron Chair. McLeet Miss Finn will join the team as the wellness liaison. Our equity liaisons are Jaden Ferris and Jacob Urban Davis. Last but certainly not least, our equity coordinator is Z Goodman, who we would like to also congratulate for being appointed as a member of the Anne Arundel County Human Relations Committee. During our first exec team retreat, we took part in some fun team building activities. Committees met together to create goals and conducted our first official business meeting for the 2022 to 2023 school year. As of July 9th, President Brenton Meade officially established the SGA Relations Committee, a standing committee devoted to ensuring thorough communication and the inclusion of all middle and high school SGAs and students throughout the county, after receiving a near anonymous vote from the executive board. The committee extends the bridge to all schools' respective student government, assembling a communication network and working to amplify students' voice. Appointed as chair and vice chair, Cameron Chair and Colin McEvers will work tirelessly to ensure the committee's success and guarantee that the student's voice is heard and tended from every corner of the county. Members of the CRASS exec team attended the Maryland Association of Student Council, MASC Advance, a 3-day event held from August 2nd to the 4th. During Advance, students took part in training to become certified workshop presenters, started to plan for the Fall Leadership Conference, which will be hosted by Lindale Middle School, and attended an executive board meeting. It was fun to meet other student leaders from across Maryland. Our first Constitution Revisions Committee was held on Monday, August 22nd. Any student enrolled in secondary school can be part of the committee, and no prior CRASS experience is required. If you're interested in participating in a meeting, you can go to aacps.org/CRASS or go to our Instagram or Twitter to access the link tree and the parliamentarian's desk link. The Student Service Learning Leadership Team, led by Lori Fowler, Manager of Service Learning and Mentorship, has been busy this summer. Some of their notable events include successfully hosting 2 service learning camps at Old Mill High School and West Annapolis Elementary School for middle and high school students. During the camps, a total of 72 students had the opportunity to learn from Chick-fil-A Leadership Academy about the importance of service, and were even able to volunteer at different service organizations around the county. The team would like to extend a special thank you to all of the teachers and staff who assisted in the planning and the execution of this event. Another notable event is the appointment of new team members to the SSL team for the upcoming school year. We are excited to announce that every high school in the county is now represented on the Service Learning Leadership team. A massive congratulations to our newest members. The SSL team will also host its second annual 9/11 Flag of Honor Remembrance event in collaboration with Meade High School Signature and Avid and Glen Burnie High School Signature. The event will be held at Meade High School on September 11th. The team is looking for student volunteers for a variety of tasks. If your student is interested, please refer to the high school service portal
or the middle school website for more information. They are also reachable on their account as Service ACO. Now, as summer is coming to a close and the school year is about to begin, we would wish students, teachers, support staff, and school administration an exciting, fun-filled, and healthy start to the new school year. Thank you, and see you in September for my next CRASS update.
Thank you very much. Okay, that brings us to item 4.03, the superintendent's report. Dr. Bedell.
All right. Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a couple of things that I want to mention. I've been on the job in person for the last 2.5 weeks, and I've had a lot of opportunities to get out and about and just begin to meet some of our community members. As you've heard earlier, I've attended a couple of backpack events, conducted a United States Department of Agriculture tour at Lothian Elementary School, in addition to visiting several of our mobile sites that provide food services to our families. And honestly, I found myself FaceTiming that event out when we went to Lothian and some of the communities over in that area, because it was just wonderful watching all of our educators in that area come together to do on-site registration. We had interpreters. We had our food services employees providing 2 days worth of food to those families. And it was just wonderful to see the school district coming together to support our community and meeting their needs right there on the spot. Additionally, I've had opportunities to speak with all of our administrators at the HELP conference. I've had a chance to speak with some of our new teachers who are in the process of being onboarded, our school resource officers, our athletic coaches, also teachers who were participating in professional development, along with some of our secretaries who were going through training. And I'm just excited about what we have here and what I'm discovering. There's a lot of talent in this school district, and we have a phenomenal opportunity here that we have to take advantage of, especially as we move to this post-COVID era. We've conducted our first board retreat that occurred on Sunday. So it was a great opportunity to norm and to build relationships with the board members. I'm in the process of executing this 100-day plan and really working to build up relationships with our bargaining units. We had an opportunity yesterday to meet with our TAAAC representative and some of her representatives as we're working on just how do we collaborate better? How do we insert a level of cohesion in the organization? I believe we all want to do the right thing for kids. We just have to figure out how to do it on a more level playing field and in a more collaborative manner. And I believe that absolutely can be executed. I have the experience to do that. Additionally, I just think that we have to begin to look at things outside the box. We have to explore doing things in a non-traditional manner because we are in a non-traditional era. The era of school districts operating in a very rigid manner is no longer relevant. We have to become much more flexible, much more agile as we think about what we're dealing with from a human capital standpoint. If we know that transportation is a major problem, right, we have to take a different look at what does it mean now to have a CDL. If we're going out and we're spending all of this money and we're training all of these people to get CDLs, and then the second we train them, they're being picked off by Amazon, we're working against ourselves. So at the end of the day, we have to look at non-traditional ways of doing things differently because we most certainly can't afford $90,000 a year like Amazon. And I think that there are some things coming on the horizon that we're doing right now. Minivans is one of the examples, but I think there's a lot of other things that we will continue to explore. And I just ask for grace. I think we all have to operate with a level of grace right now, given what's happening in this country. But we have to make sure that we are finding different ways to address some of the human capital concerns. And we'll talk about that towards the end of this presentation when we talk about a contract matter. And then finally, tone matters. It just matters. I've been a superintendent for 6 years, and I've been here 2.5 weeks. And the tone of how people feel that they can speak to people, how they can put things in email that's unprofessional in tone, it's unacceptable. That's just not, we got students in here and we talk about being cordial. It's okay to not agree on matters. We're all up here not going to agree on everything, right? And that's actually normal, and that's actually healthy. Healthy discourse is okay. It's what makes this a great country. And when you can't have that because you're being belittled, you're being spoken to like you're a peon or like you're a nobody, that's unacceptable. And I can tell you, I've shared this with our TAAAC representative. I've shared it with the board. Some of the emails that I'm getting, even from staff members, I've been here 2.5 weeks. I can tell you, I'm not going to tolerate that tone from nobody. It's unacceptable. It's unprofessional. I will not talk to anybody in the way that I see how people are talking to folks here. And it's like, it's okay. It's not okay. Because if you're okay with talking to me like that, and I've only been here 2.5 weeks, I can't imagine what you're saying to kids behind closed doors. And it's not everybody. It's a handful of people who are doing it, but it's toxic. It's toxic and it's unacceptable. And that's just not how we need to be conducting business in this county if we talk about wanting to go from being good to great. And it's a good system. It really is, everybody. I've worked in 4 different school districts. You have a good school district, but we are in a valley of despair right now with some of these things that honestly we don't have a lot of control over, but we will gain control over it. Things are changing at a much faster rate than I think we've even anticipated as educators. And to what our TAAAC president said, right? We don't have to sink. And we won't sink. I promise you that. But we have to abide with a high level of cordiality. And we have to work together for the sake of our kids. And we as adults have to be the examples on what we want our kids to be. Teach them how to properly advocate for what it is they want. And it isn't belittling people. It isn't sending emails that are toxic in nature. It isn't making people feel like they're less than because I didn't get what I wanted or I'm not able to get my point across. And I promise you, I will listen to you. I will do everything I can in my power to tell you, I can help you with this. I can't help you. I don't know. Let me go figure it out. But I will do everything to be transparent with you. If people say we aren't transparent, I'll fix that. And if you haven't recognized, the last 2 months, we put everything out for everybody in this community to see on our website, where we are with vacancies. We put it all out. We're not going to hide anything. And eventually, as we move forward, people want to know how we're doing academically. All of that will be made public. We will present everything to you, the good, the bad, and the ugly, because that's the only way you will go from good to great. So I just ask everybody, let's work together. Let's agree. Let's have healthy discourse. And I promise you, everybody will get a win one way or another, but everybody's not going to get everything they want. That concludes my remarks, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Bedell. But you're up again.
All right.
So item 5.01, readiness
Madam
for
Chair.
opening of schools. So
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Dr. Bedell.
All right. So at this time, we have a number of our departments that will come up and they will present to the board and the community at large where we are currently as we prepare for opening of schools. This is an annual presentation that we conduct, and it's a way for everybody to get the pulse of where we are as we get ready to enter opening up school on Monday. So I'll pass it over to staff.
Good morning.
Good afternoon.
Oh, good afternoon. I'm looking at this afternoon. President Tobin, Vice President Silkworth, members of the board, Dr. Bedell. For the record, my name is Dawn Lucarelli, Associate Superintendent for School Performance. Before I begin our presentation on the readiness for the opening of schools for the 2022-23 school year, I would like for my colleagues to introduce themselves.
Good afternoon, Michelle Batten, Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum and Instruction. Hello, Maisha Gillens, Executive Director of Equity and Accelerated Student Achievement.
Hello, Jessica Cutchis, Executive Director of Human Resources.
Good afternoon, Alex Shagnova, Chief Operating Officer.
Our readiness report begins with our Office of School Performance. Our schools. Between transfers and promotions, 29 schools will have new principals, 14 schools will open with first-year principals, and 15 will open with principals new to their buildings. 53 schools had changes in assistant principals, 27 were promoted, 25 were transferred, and 1 was hired from outside of AACPS. Second, our students. We're projected to enroll over 84,000 students this year, and our staff is ready to get to know them before and after the school year opens. Our Office of School Performance team is working with the Offices of Student Data and Student Support Services to ensure all secondary students will have access to their schedules on Friday, August 26th. As we speak, our schedulers and counselors are working diligently to resolve any last-minute scheduling issues. As of yesterday, our high schools are scheduled at an average of 96%, and our middle schools at an average of 97%. Third, athletics continues to be awesome. Although the 21-22 school year brought many challenges, we're happy to report that over the course of the year, AACPS, wait for it, had 11,356 student athlete registrations for athletic teams across our 14 high schools and 23 sport offerings. This constitutes an increase of 3,023 student athletes from the prior year and puts our participation numbers back in line with where they were prior to the start of COVID-19 pandemic. 899 of last year's registrations were for our unified tennis, bowling, and bocce programs. Throughout the challenging times we've all faced the past 2 years, AACPS coaches, athletic directors, administrators, and support staff have risen to the occasion over and over again in support of student athletes and communities in our county. Last year, only 12 of our 322 sports program, or 4%, had a mean marking period team GPA below 3.0. And 207 of those teams, or 64%, had a mean marking period team GPA above 3.5. AACPS won state championships in field hockey, volleyball, cross country, cheerleading, indoor track, baseball, lacrosse, outdoor track, and unified sports last year. Yay! And we'll continue to do so. As we move forward this year, our fall sports season started on Wednesday, August 10th. Our countywide points of emphasis are mental health awareness, sportsmanship before, during, and after contests, and we invite everyone to look at the information on our county athletics website and hope to see you out there supporting our student athletes this year. Finally, the people in the Office of School Performance. Our team has worked with all school-based leaders to help ensure a successful opening of the school year. On August 16th, we hosted assistant principals, and other leaders at our HELP conference with the goal of setting expectations for the year and providing common knowledge around emergency and legal procedures. We will continue our focus on engaging all students and creating inclusive environments through culturally responsive instruction. In summary, our 125 principals and their school teams are ready and excited to welcome our students for the 22-23 school year, thanks to the collaboration of many offices. Thank you.
I am excited to share the preparations of our academic team members for the start of the school year. Our academics team continues to be dedicated to preparing our students to communicate, work cooperatively, think creatively, and initiate action as they prepare to participate and excel in a global society. Let's begin by talking about readying our teachers for the new school year. During the curriculum writing and learning enhancements building process this summer, 145 elementary and secondary teachers worked with academic staff and community partners from business and higher ed to create 87 new curriculum documents. This included the 22 secondary course offerings that this board approved over the past 12 months. We continue to partner with equity liaisons to ensure materials of instruction and strategies are offered, opportunities and access for all students, students of all races and cultures, students whose first language is not English, students at all learning levels, and students with physical, social, cognitive, and emotional challenges. Our curricula updates include universal design for learning, artful thinking strategies, AVID strategies, project-based modules, and digital learning activities. Throughout the summer, staff from the offices of academics planned and delivered professional learning opportunities for multiple audiences. We continued interactions with administrators and classroom teachers to focus on learning strategies to engage students in critical thinking, problem solving, communication, and creativity. These sessions also covered various topics, including multi-tiered systems of support, instructional technology, proactive behavior management, and a coaching teaching academy for special education teachers and general education teachers. Also, teachers new to special education participated in a series of seminars to prepare them for the effective delivery of specially designed instruction. Here is a summary of the professional learning by the numbers. Over 1,300 hours and 286 professional development sessions offered. Yes, in just these short few weeks of the summer. A robust series of summer teaching and learning symposia were designed and offered to our conditional teachers. 4-day new teacher onboarding engaging over 550 new and new to ACPS teachers with customized opportunities for IB, ACC, autism, and our developmental centers. 1-day PD was implemented for our beginning teacher liaisons, offering customized learning walks. 1 day of professional development for administrators, coaches, and new building level administrators. AVID path training for 275 teachers and AVID Excel PD focusing on English learners for 15 selected teachers. Numerous asynchronous professional learning sessions for hundreds of teachers across content, program, and general teaching areas. In tandem with curriculum and instruction preparations, teachers from across AACPS engaged in Brightspace professional learning. There will be additional opportunities this school year to hone their craft of teaching and learning using Brightspace as an instructional tool. Brightspace affords all students access to classroom resources, libraries, academic support, and organizational structures. Approximately 50 Brightspace workshops were offered this summer for over 500 educators. Model pre-K-5 Brightspace courses have been provided to our elementary teachers for them to build and individualize their own Brightspace classrooms. Parents and guardians have online Brightspace workshops available as well. As we prepare for school to open, teachers will be afforded time in their classrooms to work on their individual Brightspace courses. Brightspace support will continue for teachers and families throughout the fall semester with workshops, e-coach support in all schools, our Brightspace champions in each school, midday and after-school online office hours will be offered as well. You have heard me talk about the preparation of our teachers. Now let's hear about what we offered our students to ready for this school year. We offered an extended year, 2-week program at 23 elementary schools with a focus on a K-2 launch. We targeted our youngest learners to prepare them for the school year with a focus on social emotional learning and understanding the structures for school success. Approximately 12,000 elementary, middle, and high school students participated in a wide range of summer programming. From mathematics and literacy to mindfulness and immersive high school experiences and camps that provided an opportunity to earn credit for graduation. Importantly, our community partners joined us to design and offer a rich suite of summer programs for students across the county. We even had our first solar car initiative team travel to Texas to experience the solar car competition. All of this was and is aimed at preparing our students to have a successful school year when classes begin on Monday. We are thrilled to bring joy as students investigate ways to engage, learn, and achieve. We couldn't have completed all the teacher and student-centered focused readiness work without appropriate funding. Certainly, we have federal funds, grants, and the operating budget in place to support many of these efforts. However, we would be remiss if we didn't acknowledge the work of the Education Foundation of AACPS and the many sponsors who have opened their hearts and given funds to support our district. Over $300,000 was provided last year for AACPS programs and schools, including $20,000 in small grants for teachers. Our staff launched the new donor software, Salesforce, to increase donor and partner engagement. Planning for friend-raising and fundraising campaigns have begun. Moreover, the work of our school and family partnerships should also be acknowledged. We are selecting and welcoming new parent leaders on the Citizens Advisory Committee, the Parent Involvement Advisory Council, and countywide PTA Council is in go mode. Plans have been set to increase family engagement through PTA and PTO growth across our schools. We are ready to roll into our new school year with excitement and enthusiasm as we join the schools to deliver high-quality instructional lessons with a focus on student-centered engagement. Refresh our commitment to the meaningful use of iReady for K-8 students. Continue our growth and alignment of services for community schools that have now expanded from 12 to 15 schools. Support the nearly 1,150 students who have accepted seats within our magnet programs and 500 students in the virtual academy. Expand our in-person and virtual co-curricular offerings and support our 8 new 3-year-old pre-K classrooms, while also supporting the transition of 18 half-day classrooms to full-day 4-year-old pre-kindergarten classroom, bringing us to a total of 109 4-year-old pre-K classrooms at 62 of our elementary schools. We are facilitating the creation of our AACPS Blueprint Implementation Plan due next March to align with the blueprint for Maryland's future. We are ready for this amazing school year due to the hard work of our dedicated staff working hand in hand with students, teachers, parents, guardians, and hundreds of other community partners. Thank you.
The Office of Equity and Accelerated Student Achievement continues to be intentional in our efforts to assist schools in eliminating all gaps. With this goal in mind, I'd like to provide you with several highlights of equity work that happened over the summer. On June 29th, we held our first ever hybrid equity symposium. Participants had the opportunity to select sessions led by experts and practitioners in the field of educational equity. Some of the sessions were supporting transgender and gender nonconforming students, ensuring all means all in elementary mathematics classroom, and elevating student voice. Our office is also excited to announce a new opportunity for student voice, the Student Equity Advisory Team, SEAT. The primary purpose of SEAT is to demonstrate and implement a commitment to ensuring that student stakeholders have a seat at the table where they can listen, share, define, and influence their communities without any fear of retribution. We want our students not to just have a seat, but to have a voice. The AACPS Local History Work Group, a partnership between our office, the Office of Social Studies, and representatives from various educational, community, and civic organizations, continues to work diligently to curate more local history resources to the AACPS Local History website. These resources should be used to help students become communicators, synthesizers, and critical consumers of content as part of the curricula experience. The aim is to do more than teach about local history, but teach through the history. Over the summer, members of the work group conducted site visits to learn more about Anne Arundel County's rich history. There are several other community partnerships with my office I would like to highlight. That will be Bowie State University's Rites of Passage program, the Housing Authority of the City of Annapolis, HACA, Readers Theater, and various back-to-school community events across the county. As a Maryland public school system, building teacher capacity in culturally responsive teaching is an expectation. That is evident by COMAR 13A.01.06, Educational Equity, the Maryland State Department of Education's Guide to Equity and Excellence in Maryland, and the Blueprint for Maryland's Future, and the AACPS Educational Equity Policy and Regulations. This research-based framework for culturally responsive teaching includes awareness, learning partnerships, information processing, and community of learners and learning environment. Our schools are opening the school year with an emphasis on building learning partnerships with students. That work is anchored in affirmation, mutual respect, and validation. Affirmation acknowledges the personhood of each student, and validation explicitly acknowledges to students that we are aware of the inequities and experiences of their lives. So let me be clear, building learning partnerships with students is not loving them into failure. Building loving partnerships includes setting high expectations and creating a safe space for learning for all our students. In closing, the Office of Equity and Accelerated Student Achievement have been intentional in focusing on building adult capacity, leaning into student voice, and community collaboration. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Every summer is a busy and exciting time in human resources as we prepare for the next school year and hire and onboard new teachers into our county. As you can imagine, this year was busier than ever as we worked to hire for the increased number of positions we received last year, and we worked through the challenges of the ongoing nationwide teacher and staffing shortages. Continuing the new streamlined and safety protocol approved program we put in place for onboarding as a result of the global pandemic, our summer onboarding sessions again ran smoothly and efficiently as we welcome newly hired staff to Anne Arundel County Public Schools. To give you an idea of what our hiring season looked like this summer, let me share some numbers with you. We have hired 676 new Anne Arundel County Public School teachers so far. As a point of reference, last year on the same date, we had hired 589 new AACPS teachers. Our hiring data literally changes by the hour as we continue to recruit and hire staff members who are excited about working with our children and educating our future. Our new teachers come from a variety of places, including college graduates, from other Maryland districts, other careers, out of state, and our increased efforts around even our retirees. 191 of our hires are graduates of Anne Arundel County Public Schools, and 45 were interns with us before we hired them here. We are proud they have chosen AACPS to come home to, and we look forward to supporting them as educators. While we continue to hire qualified educators, the lack of available educators is not our only challenge. Unfortunately, we continue to receive late resignations from classroom teaching positions. So while staff works increasingly hard to hire for positions that we are aware of and planning to hire for, we have unfortunately been faced with trying to cover vacancies at the 11th hour due to late resignations. As of today, we have 300 classroom teaching vacancies, 5.5 school counselor vacancies, and 1 school psychologist vacancy. While we continue to recruit and hire for these positions, due to the collaborative work of many offices within AACPS, all classroom positions have or will have a plan for coverage to ensure every student has an educator to support them on the first day of school. Our substitute office is ready to provide substitute teachers when educators are unable to be present in the classrooms. Substitute teacher recruitment is ongoing, and we continue to add qualified substitute teachers to our AACPS team. The number of our nationally board certified teachers continues to increase. We currently have 349 nationally board certified teachers working in Anne Arundel County Public Schools, and they are in 104 of our schools. So 104 of our schools have 1 or more nationally board certified teachers. Our staff is working extremely hard to continue to fill vacancies and onboarding new staff members as we speak. We continue to look for creative and innovative solutions to the nationwide staffing issues that so many employers are experiencing right now. The task of hiring teachers is no longer a cyclical undertaking. We are hiring and looking year-round for qualified individuals who have the potential to impact our students in a positive way. As staffing challenges evolve, so do we. AACPS as a team and HR as a department is up for the challenge because our students deserve nothing less. Thank you.
Our facilities division undertook construction work, maintenance work, and repair activities at approximately 80 of our 125 facilities over the course of the summer, ranging from activities like major construction or reconstruction down to more routine tasks such as painting or track resurfacing. Many of these have wrapped up. Some of these still have a few lingering issues, much of it attributable to some of the supply chain issues that we've been facing. And as is our custom, the larger construction projects will continue throughout the balance of the school year, as they always have. All of our buildings have been stocked. They've been final cleaned and made ready for the acceptance of our students here this upcoming Monday. And our operations team continues to aggressively recruit and attempt to attract and onboard custodians. We're currently at about 86 short positions in that department and hoping to incrementally close the gap as the school year continues. In terms of our instructional data, our technology, and our budget systems, all of those systems have been fully loaded. They're up and running. They've been tested, and they've been ready for both faculty and student use. Devices, again, both for adults and students, have been readied, and deployments have been made, and they are either in the hands or poised to be in the hands of our students and end users. In terms of technology, in terms of transportation, all of our buses have passed all of their requisite inspections, and they are ready to be able to run. In fact, we've dry run, and we continue to dry run some of those routes over this week. Similarly, the drivers and aides are in the process of finishing up, the returning drivers and aides, that is, the requisite training protocols to make sure that they have all of their credentials up to date and are ready to perform the services that we expected them with the event of school coming on. New drivers continue to be recruited aggressively on a daily basis, again, through work of the school system, support from our county government and Anne Arundel County Workforce Development Office. We still have about 67 vacancies as of the end of day report yesterday. The new routes that we've developed, the ones that comport with the shift towards healthier school times, have been developed and have been posted up online for our community to see. We've also been partnering with our communications office to improve upon our communication mechanisms, means, and methods to be able to more effectively communicate to our public and our constituencies in terms of service disruptions or other actions that may impact their daily lives, at least on the transportation front. Finally, food services. With the unfortunate expiration of the federal waivers that had allowed us to have some more flexibility and ease with respect to how we service and feed our age 2 through 18 population here within Anne Arundel County Public Schools, the waivers that we've had since March of 2020, we are now returning back to the modality that we had prior to the pandemic onset, and that naturally is causing some alterations in terms of the way that food will be delivered within our cafeterias. Similarly, all of our employees in food and nutrition services are finalizing their trainings. Kitchens are all being tested to make sure the equipment is all operational, and the commodities and supplies that we're going to need to feed the youngsters either have been delivered or are in the process to be delivered. It is important to note, you heard me say supply chain earlier, it's hit the food categories rather hard, and we're just going to have to be agile as we head into the fall in terms of being readied for menu adjustments or anything else. But our food nutrition services folks, as everybody knows, as Dr. Bedell witnessed firsthand, are awesome, know how to think on their feet, and I completely have every bit of confidence that they'll be able to support our youngsters. We in food nutrition services continue to partner with the communications office because with the expiration of the federal waivers, it is critical that we communicate to our families the importance of once again completing the meal benefit applications. And please remember that that is simply not to become eligible for either free or reduced meals, but there are many, many other benefits. And we are trying to communicate those benefits to our families such that they can get access to them, again, through the completion of the meal benefit applications. Staffing challenges remain. We have about 222 vacancies still in our Food Nutrition Services division. And again, they continue to aggressively recruit and onboard the support staff that we need to feed and fuel our youngsters when they return to us next Monday. And with that, that concludes our presentation. We'd like to turn it over to our superintendent for any capstone comments.
At this time, Madam Chair, any questions that you all may have? We're ready.
Ms. Shawhan.
Darn, I was hoping I wasn't first. Thank you all for your reports, and I'm delighted about the start of the school year, and I'm grateful for all of your efforts and all of your team's efforts. I don't have a question. I just had a very, very brief comment related to transportation, specifically to the routes that aren't yet serviceable because of our ongoing state and national and local driver shortage. I have I know that we're doing all that we can on our ends to get people in those spots as soon as possible, and I just and I know that, you know, once we do get folks onboarded, that, you know, we'll do all we can to be mindful of where we put them and take into account, you know, routes that were affected last year. And I just thank you in advance for all of your efforts on that front. You know, some communities were hit pretty hard with that last year, and there's some overlap this year. And I know that that's just one of the many factors that go into this. And I thank you again for being mindful of that one little point. So not a question, just a comment. And again, grateful for just a mountain of work that you all ascended and then, you know, descended into the start of the school year over the summer is wonderful. And I'm just really, really grateful for the team. So thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Silkworth.
Thank you, Madam President. I want to thank again each and every one of you for the great work that you and the staff has done. One thing I have kept hearing today is exciting, and there is an excitement for going back. But I wanted to make a comment to Ms. Kutches. You made a comment that you were also reaching out to retired people. So I want to give you my story. Last week, I got a phone call. I answered the phone, and it was a gentleman. I won't mention his name, but he said, "Mr. Silkworth." I said, "Yes." He said, "My name is blah, 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 and I'm from the Board of Ed, and you were on the retired list." And so I said, "That is true." I didn't say anything else. I said, "That is true. Can I help you?" And he said, "Well, I'm a retired person." He was a retired person. And he said, "We are reaching out to all of our retired personnel because we do have a need for, we have a teacher shortage." And I said, "Oh, really?" And he's only one of the many people that are doing this. He said, "Well, I have a list of at least 15 who have expressed some interest." And I thought to myself, my goodness, if he only gets one, if he only gets one, and then others get one. I finally broke down and I said, "Well, I am interested." He seemed happy. It would have gone to 16.
Yeah.
But I said, "I have to decline." And he said, "Well, could you tell me why?" And I said, "Well, I'd have to resign my position on the Board of Ed." And so you're doing exactly. I already knew that you were doing that. And once again, we thank each and every one of you. And I also thank everyone else out there. We do need everyone to show grace for all of this. This is a difficult time we're in, but guess what? we're going to get it done for our kids. That's why we do what we do. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Silkworth. Ms. Frank, would you like to follow that?
Know that I could follow that, but I just had a quick question for Ms. Kuchas. You talked about some of the teachers this year over last year, and I know that we've had quite a few teachers leave this year as well. Do you know offhand how many teachers left due to a change in childcare circumstances?
I don't currently have that number with me, but that is something we can certainly get to the board.
Okay, thank you. And then just one brief statement for Mr. Shaknovich. I am so grateful to all of your help over the summer in trying to resolve some of the many bus stop issues that I've requested of you. I really, really appreciate all the time that you've taken with me. Thank you.
Thank you. I believe next was Ms. Dent.
So thank you all for the beautiful opening, an exciting opening, and all the adjectives that I would love to just reach out and hug you, but I can't. I know it's been a long summer, short summer for you all. So I appreciate all the work that you've done. I don't think Mr. Shagnovis has one day of rest during the summer. So I appreciate you, all the support that you've given myself and a lot of the people, members of District 1. I still ask the same question that I asked 2 months ago and before. I know that we have worked wholeheartedly with Anne Arundel Workforce Development, and kudos to them and all the work that they've done, and to you all for all the hiring you've done. But yet we are still short. And so I do still realize that we have a board. We have a board here. Is there anything that we can do that can relieve some of the pressure that you have on the bus driver strain, i.e. extending the hours? You know, is there anything that we can do? I still think that that needs to be a nugget that I want you all to have in your kit bag, that if there's something that we can do to help relieve some of the pressure. We can't all go out and become food service people. I mean, we can't fill all the shortages, but if there is something within the limits of this board, I encourage you to reach out to the board members, Dr. Tobin, definitely the superintendent, to just let us know how can we, and if there's something we can do, I'm more than glad to support it. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm not sure of the order here, so I'm going to call on Ms. Ellis and then Ms. Corkadell.
Thank you. First of all, Mr. Silkworth, do you mean there's someone in the school system that has not heard of Mr. Silkworth?
Yeah.
You're legendary.
Well, I don't know about that, but he was retired from the school system.
Thank you all for a wonderful presentation. I know it's been hard work. It's we think of summer as a time of kicking back, and I know that's not been the case. I know, and we do appreciate all the hard work, and we are here any way that we can support. I have a couple of questions, and forgive me, it was a lengthy presentation full of lots of information, and that's a good thing. But so I might be asking, I don't know if this is a clarification or just asking you to repeat because I might have missed something. But talking about pre-K, so are pre-K students going to be on Brightspace, and are they going to have Chromebooks?
We do have Chromebooks for our pre-K students. Brightspace will certainly be available to them. At the beginning, it will be more adult-oriented as a family resource, and as we move through the school year, them learning as well how to utilize the technology. But it is also very developmentally appropriate as how we integrate that technology with them as well, being mindful of their age.
Okay, so they will have Chromebooks
correct
at home to do.
We have multiple resources that are digital online that they are able to access, so that reinforces skills that they're learning during the day in the classroom. So
does that mean they have homework?
Not necessarily. No, it's just they're activities that are available to them as their family chooses to utilize them.
Okay. So there's not a requirement for them to go
Correct.
home and open their. Okay. Thank you. And then is there, do we know how many drivers we might have in the pipeline that don't have a certificate yet, but maybe are on their way?
At last count, we had 71 individuals who've essentially put in applications. So that is somewhere between they've put in an application to they are poised and ready to take the test at the DMV and come across. So 71, but we know from experience that it's a pretty arduous path. And a number of the individuals, you know, for various reasons, won't make it all the way through. But to have 71, again, initiating and working their way through the process is certainly encouraging. And then finally, to Dr. Bedell's point, is that when we do get them through the process, we need them to come to work for us instead of availing themselves of other options as well. So there's a lot of good work occurring in that area, and I remain hopeful that, again, as they come through the process, get onboarded, that will work to make some significant inroads into the number of service interruption routes that we currently anticipate experiencing.
Well, without being overly optimistic, that's good news. Thank you for that update. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Corkadell.
Thank you, Dr. Tobin. And thank you so much, folks, for, oh, I guess I don't have any more space. I have to lean in more. No worries. I first want to thank you guys. And I had one question and then just a couple closing comments, if I may. So one of the things is has to do with things that we used to do and looking forward to getting back to. And one of the, and specifically field trips. I know as we continue to work through the challenges, of course, transportation always plays a role in that. That aside, how are we doing in making progress towards restoring some of the tactile, more hands-on? You know, I was listening with great enthusiasm about the history and the local history. And of course, the best thing to do would be to take them down to Galesville, take them over to Davisonville, to some of those facilities and really for them to learn. We have one of our own. So I was just curious if you could just share an update on that.
So great question. Thank you for asking. Field trips, field experiences are a full go. I know between Dr. Lucarelli and I, we are beginning to sign off on those opportunities. So it is nice to see that those requests come in.
And we had them last year as well, at the end of the year, those opportunities.
Yeah, I know we were starting. That's what I mean. I was, yeah.
Last year as well, but as Ms. Batten said, we're signing them. There are no
Great.
Restrictions about field trips.
Well, that's some exciting news. Definitely something to look forward to and for the students to look forward to in its purest sense. And then I just wanted to comment back and specifically to Mr. Jignovich. As you know, we've had some challenges and impact, I think a little bit more significant on the start times in my district, specifically down in the southern area. And I just wanted to say how much I appreciate you and Dr. Bedell being willing to step up and work. We know we have barriers that we were not able to accomplish. And we also know that there is not going to be an answer to solve. But I wanted just to share my appreciation for the collaborative work that we will be taking and forging moving forward together to come to the right solutions. It's not going to be overnight, but I thought it was important because that is impactful. And it's okay to say that out loud. We did not launch with all high schoolers at benefiting from this, and some actually in slightly less. But we are going to work really hard to solve those problems because it is going to be a little rougher year for my district. So I've been, channeling back over to you. I remain available. I'm listening. And I'm looking forward to going into the community so we can do a little more listening and see how we can together with our community, listening to them face to face. And that's what I'm committed to do. And I greatly appreciate the partnership in the administration and the superintendent, and specifically you, Alex. These are not easy decisions. And I'm not about looking at the past, but looking in the forward in the future. We're rolling up our sleeves. If I had sleeves on today, I'd be rolling them up proverbially. But thank you so very much. Greatly appreciate it. And I'm looking forward to visiting schools, their superintendent, like we all are, and kicking off. There's a lot of joy to consider, despite our many challenges. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McGrath.
Thank you. I just wanted to say fantastic presentation. And on behalf of all the students of Anne Arundel County Public Schools, I just wanted to thank you for all the hard work you put in this summer.
Thank you. Yes, I also wanted to mention, I was remiss earlier in my report, and this includes the communications department, which is currently looking at me over his screen horrified because I'm about to say something. I'd like to mention a fantastic video that was put out about 10 things to do to help make the school year go well. And also the Spanish version of that. I would urge everyone to avail themselves of that, share it. Congratulations on your Spanish, Dr. Bedell. Yeah. That was terrific work. I join my colleagues in thanking all of you for rising to another set of challenges. And knowing that each of you do it for the reason you always do it. You care deeply about our students and are not going to stop until we get the best for them. So thank you. And I would also echo the comments, the thanks to Mr. Sheknovich on the transportation end. We know it's always tricky at the beginning of the year, but I just want to add my thanks for the incredible work, and this goes also to other staff here in the room, Ms. Jackson and others, for the work to get the numbers out there, to get the information out there. I think we all remember that we were caught by surprise last year, and that's difficult. Nobody is being caught by surprise this year, and that is truly important. And so I know work went into that as well. And so I want to thank everyone for doing that work to make sure that information got out there consistently, clearly for everyone to avail themselves of. And I know we will continue to work through, I know in my district as well, we're hit in a number of ways around transportation. And I have every confidence already. As always, Mr. Sheknovich answers many questions, and we will continue to tackle some of the issues that Ms. Schalheim brought up, the equity aspect of transportation as well, ensuring that the students who are most in need of it have it. So thank you all, and best of luck to you and all your teams and staff on a wonderful, wonderful school year. And thank you, Mr. Superintendent. Okay, yes.
Thank you, team.
Okay, that takes us to section 6. Item, we have now an award of contracts.
Motion to bundle.
Did I hear a motion to bundle somewhere? Yes. Did I hear a second?
Second.
Do I have approval? Okay. All right. So, Dr. Bedell.
Are we on the still 6?
Yes,
or- okay.
section 6. And
Oh,
we
so-
bundled all
okay.
those. Yes.
So okay, Madam President, I recommend board approval of the contracts listed as item 6.01 through 6.05 on today's agenda.
Okay.
Gotta get used to this. It's
I
a
know.
different style.
So
Get used to it.
Second.
Okay. Ms. Money. I see no.
Mr.
lights.
McGrath,
Abstain.
Mr. Silkworth,
Aye.
Ms. Frank,
Aye.
Ms. Ellis,
Aye.
Ms. Corkadell,
Aye.
Ms. Shawheim,
Aye.
Ms. Dent,
Aye.
Dr. Tobin.
Aye.
Motion passes 7-1 abstain.
Thank you. That moves us to section 7, action items. Item 7.01, administrative personnel appointments. Dr. Bedell.
Thank you, Madam Chair. These are items discussed in executive close. The superintendent recommends that the personnel listed on the attached sheet be promoted and or appointed.
Thank you.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, seeing no lights. Ms. Money.
Mr. McGrath,
Aye.
Mr. Silkworth,
Aye.
Ms. Frank,
Aye.
Ms. Ellis,
Aye.
Ms. Corkadell,
Aye.
Ms. Shawheim,
Aye.
Ms. Dent,
Aye.
Dr. Tobin.
Aye.
Motion passes 8-0.
Thank you. Item 7.02, personnel. Dr. Bedell.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is another item discussed in executive close. The superintendent recommends that the board approve the actions as stipulated on the attached sheets as it pertains to this personnel report.
Thank you.
So moved.
Right. Okay. Seeing no lights, Ms. Money.
Mr. McGrath,
Aye.
Mr. Silkworth,
Aye.
Ms. Frank,
Aye.
Ms. Ellis,
Aye.
Ms. Corkadell,
Aye.
Ms. Shawheim,
Aye.
Ms. Dent, Dr. Tobin.
Aye.
Motion passes 8-0.
Thank you. Item 7.03, filling of a vacancy on Executive Committee of Countywide Citizen Advisory Committee, CAC. This is one we bring to ourselves, I believe. So we
Move to proceed with the recommendation.
Mhm.
I don't know what the other wording should be. That we. Oh,
I move to adopt the amended slate of candidates.
Thank you. Good.
Second.
Okay.
Okay. I see no lights. Ms. Money.
Mr. McGrath,
Aye.
Mr. Silkworth,
Aye.
Ms. Frank,
Aye.
Ms. Ellis,
Aye.
Ms. Corkadell,
Aye.
Ms. Shawheim,
Aye.
Ms. Dent,
Aye.
Dr. Tobin.
Aye.
Motion passes 8-0.
Yes, thank you, Ms. Frank. Um, So we now move to policy revisions, second reading. Item 7.04, Wellness Code AE. Dr. Bedell.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Is it Madam Chair or Madam President? Which one?
Madam President.
Madam President. I can. All right, Madam President. Thank you. For this presentation on policy revisions, we will have a second reading presented by Jeanette Ortiz.
Ortiz, yes.
Making sure I got that
Thank
right
you.
on 7.04 Wellness Code AE and also 7.05 Ethics and Conflict of Interest Code BAF.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. For the record, Jeanette Ortiz, Legislative and Policy Counsel. Before you is Policy AE Wellness on second reading. This policy was on the AACPS website for a 30-day public comment period. We did not receive any public comments. I am happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam President, there were no board members that had any objections to the wellness policy, and so therefore I move it to a third reading.
Okay.
And at the next board meeting.
Yeah.
Yes, so if there are no questions or concerns, the policy will be on third reading for consideration for adoption by the board at the next board meeting.
Thank you. So no other action required?
No
from us
action today,
by this-
yes,
At this
correct.
time. Thank you. Item 7.05, Ethics and Conflicts of Interest Code BAF.
Similarly, policy BAF, Ethics and Conflict of Interest, is also on second reading. This policy 2 was on the AACPS website for a 30-day public comment period. We did not receive any public comments, and I can answer any questions. Thank you.
And Madam President, I do have an alibi. And Mrs. Ortiz, I did speak with you just a tad bit before the meeting. I did get quite a few comments last night, not that they were of the best time. However, given like that, all the comments that we do have, I have spoken with Ms. Ortiz. A lot of the recommendations that in the policy in and of itself is more state driven. And so a lot of the changes that was imposed inside of that, but I do support the board members that do have questions, changes that they would like to be modified. And so therefore, I would like to move, if no one have any questions, I would like to move that the board postpone the time specific requirement for the second reading, return the draft policy back to the policy committee, allow us the time, 24 hours for our board members to provide myself, Ms. Ortiz, any of their questions, doesn't matter how minor, how small they are, provide them back to us, and then give us a time to respond. And then at the next board policy meeting, which is next week, we'll be able to review the policy and then get it back before the board. So with that, if I have no questions.
Second.
Ms. Scholheim.
Sorry, I just have a question about timeline. If this is items that is gonna go back to the policy committee for discussion between now and the next when's the next policy meeting? You said it was next week.
September 6th.
Yeah, next week.
So
Okay.
2 weeks, actually.
Yeah.
It's the
2
day
weeks.
before the
Yes.
next board meeting. Oh, okay, that was my question. So never mind, I'm good. I thought like if you were meeting next week, then maybe we wouldn't need to, but I'm good. Yeah.
Okay.
And what I'm trying to do ultimately is not delay it any further, but we do have some concerns and I do want to address them. I do want to make sure that we always give people ample time to get their questions out and actually have Ms. Ortiz take her second look at the questions because she is our SME. And I would like for us to be able to be on the sync and then put it back before the policy committee so that before we move it forward.
Okay, so we have your motion. We have a second. I see no more lights. So Ms. Money.
Does anybody need for Ms. Dent to repeat that motion?
Oh, I'll gladly repeat it.
Yes.
I move that the board postpone the time-specific second reading and recommend draft policy BAF to the policy committee to review possible suggestions and feedback from board members as appropriate. Upon conclusion of the review, the policy committee shall present the board their findings during the next regularly scheduled board meeting or as soon as practical.
Okay. All right, Ms. Money.
Okay. Mr. McGrath.
Aye.
Mr. Silkworth.
Aye.
Ms. Frank.
Aye.
Ms. Ellis. Ms. Corkadell.
Aye.
Ms. Schalheim.
Aye.
Ms. Dent.
Aye.
Dr. Tobin.
Aye.
Motion passes 8-0.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Ortiz.
Ms. Ortiz, welcome back. I know you had no summer.
Yes.
Welcome back. I know you had a very small summer. I think it was something like 3 days, but I appreciate all your hard work and your flexibility.
Okay, this takes us to section 8, review items. Item 8.01, award of contracts. Dr. Bedell.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam President. All right, so I know there's a couple of items here and there were some questions that were presented to me, and I want to thank you, Board Member Schallenheim, for getting those to us early, and we'll have staff. They'll come up and address those questions that you presented to me over the weekend. Just a couple of things for the community and that we want to make sure that people are aware of. With this particular item, I wrote it down somewhere. These are items that we will discuss for review. If many of you have been following our board meetings back on May 18th, there were a number of outside partners that were approved to work with the school district, of which many of them were also on board to help support us as we were dealing with some of the staffing crises that we are experiencing. One of them being Staff Easy, which has generated a significant amount of media attention. So we wanted to have an opportunity to talk about how we were utilizing this company and how did we come about utilizing this company to work with this school district to address some of our special education staffing needs. Just a few contextual points that I would like to make. One is we are in a very difficult situation in this country as a whole. If you go back and you take an opportunity to look at 2020 data on teacher vacancies or the number of teachers in the public education, that number was about 10.6 million. 2 years later, that number is down to 10 million. We are 600,000 teachers short over a 2-year period. And many people may think that that is because of COVID. It's not. We were seeing this decline. There was a study that came out back in 2017 or 18 from UCLA that talked about an 11% decrease with the number of educators who were choosing education as a major as freshmen. So we already were experiencing this problem on top of baby boomers retiring. Then you had COVID, and COVID accelerated the amount of people that decided to leave the field of education, because in some cases, teachers had to learn all over again how to be a teacher. And some people were retirement eligible or were on the brinks of retiring, said, hey, I'm not interested in everything being done virtually, right? And I think that all of that has exacerbated where we are right now. A lot of school districts are utilizing contractors to fulfill staffing gaps in school. There was an article that came out on the 29th of June by Ed Week that talked about know the benefits and drawbacks. And while there are benefits, we have also experienced the drawbacks in doing this. And my commitment as your superintendent is that as we look to make some of these decisions in the future, making sure that I am at the table along with our representatives that may be impacted around what is the best path forward, because we have to do these things at this juncture until we figure out, and we have some thoughts and process that I'm not privy to share at this point around some things that I think we can do internally as a school district that will come out a little bit later to begin to self-fill some of these positions. And there are some ways that we can do that. But I want our staff to know, as painful as things are right now, you have my commitment. And if you look at my track record, just look at my track record over the last 6 years, what I fought for on our legislative platform. And it's not just for teachers, it's custodians, it's food service employees. If you look at my track record on how we have worked with our bargaining units, we got a lot of things done. And we will do that here. That's my promise to you. We just have to get through this period because the decision has been made. And at the end of the day, we have to get these classroom staffed. We have to get teachers in there. But I promise you, you have a commitment from me that I will work with our team along with our bargaining units on how we can address some of these human capital concerns so we can keep you here. We need you here. So without any further comments, I think at this juncture, I know there may be a couple of questions presented to our team, and we want to do everything in our power to answer those questions.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Bedell. So as the team comes up, Ms. Schalheim, I believe you have a question.
Yes, and I thank Dr. Bedell, and I thank the team approaching the testimony bench for helping me understand, helping all of us understand this contract a little bit better, given the current climate and the possibility of confusing or misconstruing the details. Myself included, I just respectfully ask that you walk us through this contract a little bit better and specifically address the questions I sent over the weekend. I'm happy to repeat them if needed. I thank you in advance.
Thank you, Mrs. Schalheim. So for the record, I'm Maureen McMahon, the Deputy Superintendent for Academics and Strategic Initiatives. Nice to be here today. My colleagues.
Jessica Kutchis, Executive Director of Human Resources.
And Alex Shaknovas, Chief Operating Officer.
So I'm going to start just to provide you a really quick context for this, the setting. So we have over 1,000 special educators in Anne Arundel County Public Schools. Some of them are classroom teachers, and some of them are related service providers, OTs, PTs, SLPs, right? And I know you're all familiar with that, but the number is important. And historically, under the direction of Ms. Kutches, HR, our Human Resources Department, has recruited and hired these people. But as of fiscal year 2012, we started using vendors in order to meet our needs. Now, predominantly, these vendors were filling the spaces for speech therapists, occupational therapists, physical therapists, teachers for the visually impaired, teachers for the deaf and hard of hearing, and our ASL teachers. If we had holes, that's where we had them historically, and that's where we filled them if we needed to, and only when we needed to, with our vendors, with the help of our vendors. So currently, we are contracting also for physical therapy services for students on home and hospital instruction, and speech services for those students at our private and parochial schools, because that's in accordance with our private service agreement, and that's mandated. Now, more recently, COVID. In the COVID days, what did we do? Well, those service providers, those outside service providers, also helped us fulfill the compensatory and learning recovery services. So we had some teachers and some related service providers over the last 2 years fill some holes for us. So we're currently seeking, of course, you know about the special education classroom positions. We're also seeking additional contract speech services, but no need for outside vendors to help us with OTs and PTs. So that brings us to Staff Easy and these classroom special education teachers.
So one of the questions is, why is this item appearing back before the board? And so from a contractual perspective, let me cover some of that ground. Remember that it is our norm here that in terms of many of our services or commodities, we create essentially blanket or open-ended or indefinite requirement, indefinite duration procurement vehicles. That is a strategy that's used throughout government, be it local, state, or federal. And it is a methodology where we can set up a procurement vehicle in advance of an actual need either being actualized or anticipated. As we were going through the latter half of last academic year and having our fingers on a pulse, knowing many of the factors that Dr. Bedell mentioned earlier, we knew that staffing may be a challenge heading into this academic year. This board also knows that our county government was very generous this past year and also afforded us not just some robust compensation increase, but many positions as well. And so combining the factors that Dr. Bedell spoke to and the increase in FTEs that we were afforded from the county, we knew that there was going to be a larger than average recruitment season. But we also knew it was going to be a larger than average challenge to meet those recruitment needs. With that in sight, last spring, we went out for an open-ended procurement to be able to canvass the landscape and to be able to procure the potential, the possibility of us needing supports, as Dr. McMahon indicated, in terms of filling some of the critical need classroom positions. At that time, though, and at the time that the contract was bought before this board back in May, certainly that wasn't quantifiable down to the specific number, the specific location, the specific category of employee, right? And then as the summer went on, those numbers began to solidify. And our Office of School Performance, Dr. McMahon's office, Executive Director Kutch's office, began to refine those numbers down. School starts on August the 29th. And in spite of all the efforts, we knew there's going to be gaps. And Ms. Kutches will speak to some of the business case of why we targeted special education momentarily, but we knew there was going to be some gaps. And therefore, the tools that we had judiciously and prudently set up back into spring and yet hoped to not ever have to utilize came right in front of us. There is in this Board of Education, in your policy and regulations, there is a board policy DEA, and it requires us, the school district, the staff of the school district, through the office of the superintendent, to notify this board anytime a contract has been modified by $100,000 or more. That is in your policy. And that is explicitly why this item comes before you today, because we are notifying you that there is a modification to that contract that exceeds that dollar threshold. And in accordance with that policy, we are obligated to notify you. Much has been made about the math or the economics. And Ms. Schallheim, I believe this was one of your questions. So let me address that, head on and get some, sort of facts and figures and numbers out on the table. So the Staff Easy contract I think is widely recognized, allowed the Department of Human Resources the flexibility of procuring up to 50 special educators. And again, Ms. Kutchis will speak to that momentarily. But the math behind it is a little eye-popping, right? The exhibit before you shows that there's a $7 million price tag on it. It is eye-popping. I'm not gonna blush from that number. But how you get to that is pretty important. So 50 special educators contracted for 7.5 hours a day at the bid price of $101 an hour, and I'll elaborate a little bit more on that later. $101 an hour comes out to $757.50 a day. We based our calculations on 184 days maximum, which translates to about $139,000 a year. Why do we do things the way we do? We do things the way we do because we operate on what's called an encumbrance-based budgeting, and we do an encumbrance-based procurement system. Essentially, it's a not-to-exceed value. So it gives us a cap, a ceiling, in which to operate. And as long as we operate at or below that cap, we fulfilled our obligations to you. We fulfilled our obligations with respect to state procurement law, sound practices, right? So we created a cap, hoping not to use the cap. Again, Ms. Kutchis will elaborate on that earlier. But taking that daily rate, taking that annualized figure, and multiplying it times the 50 personnel, and the last key point is 184 days. That is assuming that the contractors are working 184 days. We know our educators are under contract for more than 184 days, but we know, worst case, that these individuals would not be working into 191 days. So we establish 184 as sort of a reasonable starting point, knowing full well that they're not going to be onboarded potentially day one. They may not be required to participate in certain other activities. And most importantly, knowing that as recruitment and retention activities occur, that their services would no longer be required. Okay, so that's basically the premise. It gives us the authority to hire up to 50 personnel for a maximum duration of 184 days during the academic year. It's sort of a not to exceed piece. So we did reach out because there's been a lot of interest. Typically, private companies are not obligated to disclose their proprietary information with us. They're not. They put in a hard bid number, and that, in many respects, here within the state of Maryland, is the extent to which we are allowed to look behind the curtains of most private companies. But Ms. Kutchis and her team reached out to the Staff Easy personnel. They were very forthcoming with their information. We appreciate that. It was not required, but we appreciate that from them. So facts and figures. Their bid price was set on an approximate $86.84 average wage per hour. $68.84. I misspoke. That's how they structured their bid. So $68.84. our average special educator here in Anne Arundel County has about a $50.49 average wage. So there's the gap, right? There's a gap between 50.49, our average, and 68.84, what they did their bid on. Now, let's add some more information and nuance behind that. The staff easy employees are hourly. They are not salaried. They are getting paid only for the hours that they work. Point one. Point two, they are not entitled to any employer paid for or sponsored benefits. Unlike our employees that have a robust and might I opine, rather generous benefits package, they can add as much as 37% to the hourly cost of our employees. So yes, is there a differential between the 50.49 per hour average salary of our employees? But you need to take into account that hourly salary, the true total cost of ownership, can be as much as 37% greater than that with the benefits package. And that benefits package comes at a value to the employee, but comes at a cost to this organization and the taxpayer. Like Anne Arundel County Public Schools, the staff for the employees of Easy Staff have a differentiated pay structure. Not each and every employee, not each and every special educator here at this district receives $50.49. Why? Because we have a pay structure here. We have a pay table that's negotiated with our labor units that say based on experience, based on credentialing, based on educational attainment, you are entitled to a differentiated pay structure. That is true with this firm as well. They're going to be assessing the candidates. And again, the figures I quoted to you in both cases were averages. They're going to be assessing their candidates just like our human resources office does when we onboard folks, and assigning the appropriate hourly rate to these contractors. They're running a business. I run a business. I run a little bit of a different kind of business, right? They're running a private business. Their cost structure in some respects is a little bit like mine, but in many respects, it's very different. So as a private business, a portion of the total charge that they are charging us goes to a lot of other elements. Things like they have to do marketing, they have to do screening. There was a cost to respond to our RFP. They have administrative and operating costs that they have to bear. They are a private company. They'd rather not go out of business. So there's something called profit and overhead that has to be factored into every private business, and all of the other necessary expenses and costs that go into running a business. Again, and Ms. Kutchis will elaborate on this a little bit further, a couple final key things. These are certificated or eligible or individuals that comport with the requirements from MSDE. They need to come to the table. That's part of the contract. They need to come to the table eligible to perform the tasks that is expected of them as special educators. That is part of the requirements that this district has put on them as they go out to seek candidates and screen candidates. It is part of the screening process that our team here at AACPS will also employ before they walk into a classroom. Nobody's setting foot in our classroom unless we deem they are ready and they are fit and they are capable and they are able. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to Ms. Kutchis to provide you some additional details to round out our presentation.
Sure. So as we understand it, Staff Easy does have locations in other states. They are currently working successfully in other states: Florida, Illinois, Indiana, Tennessee, and Texas. We believe we're the only state in Maryland at this time utilizing this particular vendor, but know that other school systems do utilize other vendors for other special education services. We have used other vendors for special education services, as Dr. McMahon already noted. And we had 7 special education classroom teachers that were contracted last year in our schools. So ultimately, right now, for our special education staff, our staff, we have 741 classroom-based special education teachers, but we have 82 vacancies in special education. I'm going to say that again, 82 vacancies. This is, as we talk about evolving or how we hire, how we staff, how we look at how we support our children, this is a component. This is a way for us to get that number down as we still work towards hiring our employees and getting back to what we traditionally know. But we have to do something now. Like schools opening, 82 classroom-based special education vacancies. It's just, we can't have that for our most vulnerable students. We just can't. These 50 positions represent a 6.7% of the 741 total special education classroom positions. So I can't say it enough. It's not where we want to be as a school system. Absolutely not. We love our teachers. We love the family that we've built in AACPS. And that's ultimately where we're going to get. But right now, we have students that are coming to school and we need to support them. So number one, we have a commitment to them morally and why we do this work. But we also have a legal requirement that we cannot forget. We have federal law that supports special education students. We have state law that supports special education students. And unfortunately, we have a court monitor special educated related settlement matter. So there are 2 huge reasons why we made this very difficult decision to go down this road. As I said before, we are going to continue to recruit and hire. This is not one of those school years where I'm, reporting, okay, this is what we did for summer hiring. This is ongoing. This is something we have to partner with so many different entities. I'm really excited about Dr. the brief conversations we've had about some different ideas. I'm really excited about the partnership with TAAAC. I believe we have a TAAAC president that's ready to come to the table with some ideas. We want to partner, but those are not going to solve the 82 vacancies that we have when school starts. We believe that this is a temporary solution to get that done. As I've said before, the current job market's different and the people we're hiring are different. People are looking for work in different ways than they traditionally did. And we have to evolve to them to meet where they are because ultimately they're in the driver's seat. This contractor has successfully recruited a lot of teachers. I'm going to be very honest with you. They've not hired, they have recruited so far certificated teachers that are, from what we can see so far, going to really serve our students well. But again, no one's stepping foot in a classroom until AACPS says it's okay, as well as the many requirements that the vendor has that actually some of their training is above and beyond some of the things that we do. At the end of the day, I've said it before, every student deserves the opportunity to be successful. We believe this is one way to do that. I look forward to better staffing days, but I think it's going to be a journey. And I think that we all have to go through some tough times till we get to where we want to be as an AACPS family. So with that, I conclude any further remarks I have, and I don't know if anyone else has anything to add.
No, we'll turn it over to the superintendent.
Yeah, this is to the board and the community. Just to thank you all for your thoroughness. And one of the things I just want everybody to know, we wanted to put the truth around the data. This isn't manipulated data. This is the raw truth around where it is. If you ever get a chance to take a look at the article that I referred to, contractors are filling staffing gaps in schools, know the benefit and drawbacks by Ed Week. One of the things it says in here, some agencies have proposed charging districts $70 to $125 an hour for the workers they offer. That amounts to between $110,000 to $150,000 a year. We know that we also have a charge as a school district with our blueprint plan to get our starting salaries up. And then there are also some additional incentives in there for board certified teachers and things of that nature that I think would eventually push teacher salaries to where I believe is a very respectable level. But we also know that we have hard to staff positions. We have teachers. Not every teacher assignment is the same. So we continue to operate on this model that everybody gets the same amount, everybody gets the same treatment when the assignments are different. That's a different conversation that also has to happen behind closed doors, right? Because I do agree. You have a special educator with the amount of work, the amount of paperwork they have to do, the load that they have, that there has to be some differentiation. So I'm looking forward to future conversations. I'm on board for that. And all I can tell you is, once again, my commitment to doing what I can. I don't want to have to hire teachers through a vendor. I think as a school district, we need to be making sure that what we are able to offer is competitive enough that nobody even wants to go through a vendor. So that's the work that we have to do. And we will open it up for questions.
Thank you. Thank you all very much on behalf of the board. And thank you, Superintendent Bedell. I believe the first light was Ms. Dent. Your mic is not on.
Thank you very much. So Dr. Bedell and staff, thank you for bringing this topic. And I love the model that you have is, which is not the model, but I think I understand when you say speak power, truth to power. And it's exactly what you have to do. So I'm pretty sure everyone knows my bio is contracting, so or background was contracting. But before that, I was a logistician. And so contracts are multipliers. They're not the two that you are trying to use to replace. They're the tools to what Ms. Cutchins just said, to fill shortfalls, gaps. And I think it's important to say that there's no one that believes that contracts are going to be the single point of direction that we're trying to use to hire our educators. That's not the genesis of what they are. But what is important to understand is the range. And everything talks about the highest range. No one talks about the lowest range. If you're the person on the lowest range, you're really not happy about this contract effort. If you are a good contract officer representative, you are also making sure that the contractor doesn't get the highest range, that we limit it to, that we're mindful of the dollars and we're good stewards of the government dollars. And I say all that to say that some of the transparency in contracting is privy of contract. And I don't think that it is fair to you all, knowing that you have a shortfall to fill, to believe that somehow or another we're going to wake up in the morning and we're going to have 82 educators. It's not. And so I really, my heart goes out to you all for trying to do this work, but also trying to understand and navigate the world of contracting. With that being said, I do think there is a way for us to use the contracting, and Anne Arundel counties is one of the places that is the great place to work. So what we've done in the federal government when I was in there is that we would recruit their people as opposed to them recruiting our people. So you may find yourself in a great space and don't even know it, that I'd much rather give up $100,000 and know that I have benefits and longevity inside of this great school system here. It's going to be even better with Dr. Bedell, knowing the benefits that you have. So don't look at contracting. I'm saying this more to the public, not you all. Don't look at contracting as being something that is a bad thing. It's actually a multiplier, because you do get a chance to sample the persons that you are getting ready to hire. And if you don't like them, then get rid of them on the contract. But if you do like them, then recruit them, right? So it's not it's a win-win solution. So I just say that maybe the dollar threshold looks bad, but coming from a government perspective, all contracts look bad to me. Okay, seriously, they do. There are enormous amount of monies that we spend to try to fill the small gaps that we need, but they are mandatory gaps. But we do have a structure here in place that tells us how many students that we have that needs how many teachers and what ratio and what credentials those people have to be at. And they aren't going to happen overnight. So I say this to say our contracting needs have to be met, but we do need to spend time of coming to the table to make sure that everybody understands that there's a low ball and there's a high ball. And I heard the high ball was somewhere about 139. And I just have one question of what is the lowest amount that a person could conceivably receive?
The direct answer to that is zero.
Sure, but if I come on board, I thought it was something about 50,000 was like the lowest
The
range.
advertising that went out from Staff Easy had a
Right, it's like-
range of 50 to 100,000 that
Right,
the
and
actual
so-
employee would receive.
Thank you. So that's what I'm saying. So if you're on the 50,000, you're real disappointed, right? But if you're on the 100,000, you're real happy. So I again, like I said, is that there's also been the last thing, and I'll wrap up, Dr. Tobin. Think of the contracting also as your recruiting too. Not so much as to an opportunity to have our teachers feel that they are not appreciated or underappreciated. If somehow or another that we can get to a user-friendly agreement with the people on the other side of the contract, it may be that we're getting more bang for our buck. And then that does give us the incentive to make sure that we can meet the gap of where the pay system is for our educators and the pay start gap is for our contractors. So we can meet that mark. So there is a lot of good things that comes to contracting. I know no one in contract never thought I'd say that, but there is some good things that come out of contracting. And one of them is for you to narrow the pay system. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Dent. Ms. Schallheim.
I just didn't get a chance to say thank you for addressing my questions. This was incredibly helpful, and I know that the public watching and the folks that'll view this video later will also be grateful for this information. So thank you so much for putting it out there. I really appreciate it. That's all I wanted to say.
Yes, Mr. Silkworth.
Just a comment or two. I want to reiterate what Dr. Bedell said. I am as committed to our staff and the students as he has just expressed his commitment. Since I've been on this board, I have worked extremely hard, and my colleagues have worked extremely hard to look out for the welfare of our staff. Because when we do that, we're looking out for our kids, our students. I just had one question. Do we have many existing staff who are special ed certified who have not been teaching our special ed students that may be able to volunteer or to kind of switch to helpful? Because the needs of our special ed students, we have to meet those needs.
Yes, absolutely. So we do, and in collaboration with Ms. Disney Bates, she brought some similar type suggestions to us for us to look at. And so that is something that we're looking at as we speak. But again, to be very honest with you, we actually have a very different pattern that's going on where we have teachers with special ed certification that are choosing to not teach special education anymore because of the many requirements that Dr. Bedell and others have spoken about earlier.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for that. It was tremendously helpful, and appreciate the work you're doing. And I appreciate your commitment to our children. And I'll repeat something I said a number of months ago on this dais. We cannot care for, honor, and support our students if we do not do the same for the people who care for, honor, and support them every day in our schools. And I think it's fair to say we're all committed to that here. And I know Dr. Bedell is, and I know the staff is. So thank you all very much. With that, I believe that concludes our business for today. Do I hear a motion to adjourn? Do I possibly have consensus? Yes, I do. Okay. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone.